I want to tell you a story about my friend called Martin. Now, Martin, he was a outdoorsy type of guy, and often he would pack his rucksack and get his water bottle and head out for a few days. And on this particular sunny day, the sky was bright blue, and there was the occasional cloud just drifting and floating up there, doing its own thing as clouds often do. And Martin decided to take himself to this beautiful wooded area, and he knew it was a beautiful area because he'd been several times before. And when he got there, he headed towards his most favourite space in the whole world, that place just near the lake. Now, the lake was very old, and some of the lake had very, very large fish in it swimming around. Martin wasn't particularly interested in fishing, though. He just wanted the views and the scenery and the wonderful smells of the woods and the forest and the glade. And as he sat there on his little bench, his little stool that he took with him, little pop-up stool, he overlooked what appeared to be a decking, and the decking was there, stretching out towards the middle of the lake. It turns out to be a pontoon, and the pontoon, along the end of the pontoon, there was just a small platform, a blank platform, but all the way down the end of the pontoon, along the sides, were little posts, and on the posts there were ropes. One long rope going from the beginning to the end of the pontoon to stop people from falling off. And the rope looped slightly as it went down, down to the end of the pontoon. Right down the very, very end of the pontoon, Martin observed two small boys. Both of them had a fishing rod, and they were just happily there casting into the lake and hoping to get a bite. Martin just sat back and watched, interestingly, what's happening next. One of the lads made a cry for excitement, and his friend came rushing across. What's happened? Well, said the other lad, I've got a bite. I want to reel in the biggest fish in the world. And with that, he yanked on the rod and began to wind the line in, began to reel the fish in slowly. First he was winning the battle, and the fish came in easily, but then the fish decided to fight. The young lad was there for a while, 10, 15 minutes, reeling in the line. And as he reeled the line in, first of all, the fish would come up a little bit, and then he would go back down towards the bottom of the lake, all the way over there. And the young lad would have to reel it back in again, all the way, reeling it in up to the surface, but the fish would just ultimately go back down, because the fish liked being down. Down the bottom was where the fish lived. In his little fishy house with his fishy friends, he lived in there. He felt safe and secure. Now I wonder where safe and secure is. I hear people talking about safe and secure, safe space, safe place, being secure and comfortable in life. But then there's other people on the other side, and they're happy to be out and about, exploring and pushing the edge, being outside of their own comfort zone. And as Martin was there watching these lads fish, he wondered, and he allowed his thoughts to drift down and down and down. And suddenly he noticed that his breathing had changed completely, intensely, and become more shallow but deep at the same time, with not much effort involved. And the breath just followed its natural rhythm, gently in and gently out, and gently in and gently out. And then Martin noticed that Actually, his whole body was beginning to relax. Every single cell and fibre of his whole being was becoming relaxed. And he allowed his eyes to close just for a moment as the sun came out and shone on his face. Martin could see the redness through his eyeballs, through the eyelids. And he knew the sun was there, and he could feel the warmth on his face. And he felt contented and relaxed. And with his eyes closed, he allowed himself to drift even further and deeper into a wonderfully relaxing state. A magical place. A place that nobody else on the planet has ever been before. A place that true explorers want to visit. And as he found himself arriving in this new environment, this new scenery, this new landscape, he wondered what it would be like. Just wondered what it would be like to wander on the lake. And he noticed a small fishing boat over on the lake, and the fishing boat said Joan Thomas down the side. And he wondered who Joan Thomas was, and what the significance of the name was, and why was that boat called Joan Thomas. Maybe it was to do with Joan of Arc, Arc being a large boat. Who knows? Maybe it was the person's name, or a wife's name, and he allowed those thoughts to percolate for a few moments. All of the random ideas of why the boat was called Joan Thomas. And he noticed the boat just gently sitting there and bobbing around, going in and out and up and down as boats often do. It was strongly secured and anchored to the bottom of the lake, so it wasn't moving too far, but it was just with the waves ripping in and ripping out, the gentle ripples on the lake. And as he looked closer at the boat, he saw what he thought looked like a dog, a small dog. But he had to look again to confirm the suspicion, and the closer he looked at the dog, the more detail he could see. In fact, at one point, it was as if he had magnifying glasses and the dog filled his whole vision. He was focusing that intently on the dog. Looking at the dog, he noticed a small collar, black leather. And on the black leather collar, there was a small round disc, and it said, Fred. Fred the dog. So, Martin now knows the dog's name is called Fred. But isn't it curious? There's a dog called Fred on a boat called Joan Thomas, just bobbing about on the lake. What was Fred doing on the boat on his own? There's nobody else nearby, nothing else happening. Just Fred on the boat, bobbing about. Now, drifting, floating still deeper and deeper. That's right. So as you continue, you can allow yourself to take yourself off to that wonderfully safe space that you consider safe. And I don't know where that is for you, or what it involves, what it looks like, how it feels. That's all unique, it's private to you. But you'll know just as soon as you're there. Because when you get there, you'll get that sensation, that feeling, that unique thing that nobody else in the world can describe but you. And as you're there now, I want you to feel really, really comfortable, and notice that you are secure and safe, and nobody can get in. Nothing can happen without your permission, your say-so. Because you know you're in control of this entire experience all of the time. And although my words guide you in specific directions to help you along the process, what actually happens is your fault. It's your choice. It's your opinion. And it's you that needs to matter. Now, sitting on a surface, maybe a chair, that feels comfortable to you, you can allow yourself to really absorb into the textures and the fibres. Feel it on your body. Feel how your weight is distributed on the object. We just say a chair. How's your weight distributed on that chair? How comfortable do you feel? And you allow yourself to breathe out a sigh. And with the sigh you can relax 15 times deeper than before. Not 10, not 20, but precisely 15 times deeper. Now, drifting down and down still. Because every beat of your heart, with every breath you take, you can allow yourself to go deeper and deeper, automatically without any further instructions. And any sounds that you hear, other than the sound of my voice now, are just sounds of your natural environment or the sounds of my natural environment. And they're only there for one purpose, and that's to help you go deeper and deeper in this process. So in a moment, we're going to do some change work. Some small change work just to tweak up the engine, make sure things are running perfectly fine. Call it a mental service, if you will. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to clear your mind of all thoughts and everything. And the way we're going to do that is by using a very, very special technique. We're going to start from the number 50, and we're going to count backwards in threes until we get all the way down to 0. And it doesn't matter if you forget where you are now, because forgetting is good. Forgetting is a natural part of life, and it's something we need to do. Otherwise our brains will be full of stuff we don't even need to worry about anymore, don't even need to bother us anymore. 50, 47, 44, and as you continue to count backwards in threes, you can allow those numbers to slowly become quieter in your mind, and you can allow yourself to just to drift with the process, floating backwards, downwards, whichever direction would you want to go in. You can drift and take yourself there as you continue. 37, 34, that's right, drifting down and down and down still. And when you know those numbers have completely silenced themselves, you'll know, because when they've completely silenced themselves, the communication channel to your unconscious mind, you know, that part of you that never rests, that never sleeps, the part of you that never tells a lie, is always on heightened alert states. The communication channel to that part of the brain is wide open, which means that whatever suggestions I make now that you accept are easily accepted by your unconscious. So in a moment, not yet, but in a moment, I want you to raise your left hand just a little bit, because your left hand is the right hand to use for this exercise now. And as the hand is in the air now, as I count from 1 to 5, I want you to allow that hand just to drift and float down at the rate and speed that you can double, treble and even quadruple the depth of your relaxation, only at the rate and speed, until it finally rests on a solid surface. 1, 2, allowing the hand to slowly move down, deeper and deeper. 3, 5 times deeper maybe. 4, deeper still. And 5, all the way down so that it rests on that firm surface. That's it. Now paying attention to that left hand, notice the temperature of that hand. Notice if one finger feels slightly heavier than another finger. Where's the pressures in that hand? Maybe you can even detect the pulse or the blood flow. Some people are really, really acute with their senses, and they can detect the smallest things. Musicians, for example, have a keen ear, and they can detect one single note wrong out of a whole orchestra, and they can specifically identify which player made that wrong note. They're really, really tuned in. An artist, however, may be visually heightened, and they can detect that one shade is specifically different to another shade, and therefore the image, the painting, the picture is not correct. And then of course we have the people that have feelings, the kinesthetic people. Well, they know the difference between hard and soft. They know the difference between comfortable and uncomfortable, and they can detect really small, minute changes between them. And as we begin to go further into this session, allow your senses to become heightened. Tune in. Maybe you can hear more, smell more. Maybe. What would it be like if you had the eyesight of an eagle and the hearing of a bat? How acute could you be? How much more information could you pick up? What would you do with all that information? I wonder. Now. And as you think about that for a moment, percolating and thinking and bubbling around in a relaxing kind of way, I want you to pick one thing in your life, one aspect in your life that you'd like to improve, and we're going to focus all of our attentions on that one single point. It might be, for example, and this might not be your choice, but it might be that you want to have more confidence for public speaking, or you might want to give up smoking or lose some weight, become healthier at eating, live a healthier lifestyle. It might even be that you want to communicate more effectively with your team members. But whatever it is for you, we're going to do some work on it now. So in a moment, I want you to imagine just in front of your face a big, large, white cinema screen. You've all been to the cinema, and if you haven't been to the cinema, well, just imagine a white surface, a matte white surface, large, of which an image will be projected. And on that image, on that screen, I want you in a moment to imagine yourself on the screen doing the thing that you want to do successfully. So behaving how you want them to behave perfectly, as if somebody else has already done it and you're copying them. And as you look at yourself on this screen, I want you to notice how they stand. Notice other people's reactions to how they're standing and what's going on around. Notice the ambience, the sounds around the person, the future you, the new you. And in a moment, I want you to magically step yourself into that screen. So you take on the identity of this new person. And as you step into the new you, I want you to see through your own eyes, hear through your own ears, and feel those feelings as you become that new and improved you. Now, step inside yourself, take on that identity, see through those eyes, hear through those ears, And feel those feelings as they magnify and double and triple and quadruple again and again and again. And then step back out again. How strange. Why would you step back out of the experience when you had it so rich, so vivid? Okay. You can step back in now. Step back in, see through those eyes, hear through those ears, feel those feelings as they grow, strengthen, and become even more powerful now. And then step back out. So you've experienced this thing twice now. What you want to be. You've actually experienced it through your own eyes, your own senses. The future you, the new improved you. And the reason we've stepped back out is because you can now have something to aim towards, and you know what it feels like when you get there. So your own strategy, your own senses will tell you that you've arrived, that you've got this thing, this outcome. Now, notice how good it felt to be that new you. And from that vantage point of being the new you, because you've already done it, you now know the obstacles you had to overcome to get there, to do that thing. And because you know the answers to the questions, it's just like cheating really at an exam by looking at the answers before you take the test. You know you're going to get a good result. Now that's excellent. So in a moment, I'm going to count from 1 to 5 and bring this session to a close. And this session will close nice and smoothly, just the same way it began. Because in your safe space, you know that change can happen. Change does happen. Change will happen. Expect it to happen. Want it to happen. And notice the changes taking place now. Because I once knew a guy called Martin. And the last time I saw Martin, he was sitting at the banks of a lake in a wood, overlooking the lake with the 2 lads at the end of the pontoon, and it had the rope, the loopy rope from the end of the pontoon all the way back to the deck, to the beach, to the ground. That's right. And Martin was the keen explorer, the keen adventurer, the one that liked to challenge himself. And in a moment I'm going to count from 1 to 5, and on 5 you can come back into this version of reality, bringing with you all of the lessons and learnings from the whole session to become a new, improved version of yourself. Number 1, feeling wonderful, calm and relaxed, peaceful, perfect. Number 2, to be free of any limiting beliefs that may have held you back in the past, to give yourself permission to love yourself, and to give yourself permission to give yourself time for yourself. You know, there's always 3 solutions to every problem, and your unconscious mind will always find 3 solutions just at the right time. Because this is all for you, to give you the experience of becoming the new and improved version of yourself, to take yourself to higher climbs, to achieve more, to be more diverse, and to smash through those barriers and limiting beliefs with passion. And before I reach the last count of my number sequence, only at the rate and speed that you can fully integrate all of the lessons and learnings into the new version of you can you come back into this reality, feeling refreshed, revitalized and energized to get on with the rest of your day, taking yourself forward and knowing that with every day moving forward it can only get better and better, and taking yourself stronger and closer towards your goal as I reach the final count of 5, feeling alive and ready to thrive. And you can take all the time you need now to come back into this reality. Take your time. and welcome back.